So Keir Starmer vows to clean up politics and wants to crack down on cronyism. People who defraud the government will face going to jail for more than a decade under plans being considered by Keir Starmer as part of a wider clean-up of British politics. Sources say a range of policy options are being considered as part of the clean-up, including tougher sentences for fraud against the public purse, such as the billions wasted through COVID loan schemes. Now, a few months ago, one of these policies that addressed corruption was that ministers would not be able to lobby or take related advisory jobs for 5 years after leaving government. Now, in Keir Starmer fashion, that's already been scrapped. Way to convince people that you want to clean up politics, yet within months have already watered down on that pledge. This is Keir Starmer, one of the most corrupt Labour leaders I have ever seen, one of the biggest liars in politics today, who wants to lecture about corruption. If he wants to clean up politics, he should first look in the mirror, which he won't, but don't worry, we'll take a closer look at him ourselves. His leadership campaign was full of secrecy. He refused to disclose his donors, but we have since managed to obtain some of that information. McSweeney, who's a Labourite figure close to Keir Starmer, was the behind-the-scenes guy that got Starmer elected. Now, he failed to declare £730,000 from a bunch of billionaires. Now, why donate to Starmer? I mean, they obviously wanted something in return. This paragraph from a Novara article sums it up really well. A 2021 investigation by the Electoral Commission found Labour together guilty of more than 20 separate breaches of the law, imposed a higher-end fine, and rebuked the organisation for failing to provide a reasonable excuse. But by then, money at a scale rarely seen in Labour politics had already changed the party's future, setting Starmer on the path to Downing Street. McSweeney, and through him Starmer, has since avoided being connected publicly to the scandal until now. Clearly, this provides pretext to Starmer's pivot from Corbyn in a suit to darling of the Blairites. I mean, he lied entirely through his leadership campaign because he knew he wouldn't win. He wouldn't become leader if he was honest about his intentions. And of course, to this day, Starmer and his team explain these pivots, which apparently have nothing to do with a shift in values, but rather due to the economic circumstances we're in. Some policies had to be dropped or watered down, just for the time being, out of necessity, which is another lie. Keir Starmer revealed his real politics by ditching left-wing pledges, Ally says. In a candid interview with Politico's Westminster Insider podcast, one of Starmer's closest allies reveals the answer. I think what you're seeing now is his real politics, said Jenny Chapman, the former Darlington MP, who served as Starmer's political secretary before joining the House of Lords in 2021. There was an understanding in 2020 of the best issues to talk about if you want to become leader of the Labour Party. There is permission there to say, this is the kind of country it would be lovely if it could be, because you're not actually pitching to the entire country to be the Prime Minister. So there in black and white, there were two versions of Keir Starmer, one to appeal to the membership and another to the electorate. This man cannot stop lying. But don't worry, there's more. Starmer has taken more freebies than all Labour leaders since 1997 combined. Keir Starmer has accepted more free tickets to events such as sports matches, concerts and parties than the combined total of every other Labour leader since records began in 1997, Open Democracy analysis has found. Now contrast that with the last leader. In 5 years as Labour leader, Jeremy Corbyn only accepted one such freebie, tickets to Glastonbury, where he spoke on the Pyramid stage in 2017. Former Corbyn advisor Andrew Fisher told Open Democracy the Islington North MP had made a point of turning down corporate hospitality. Now, Corbyn's policies were diametrically opposed to the interests of corporations. But for Starmer, on the other hand, I mean, the wealthy donors have just piled back into the party. Now, despite Starmer making loud noises on cronyism, he recently did it himself, son of Labour Chief of Staff Sue Gray, to stand for party as London MP. So we remember Sue Gray, a bit of a controversial appointment. There were questions surrounding it. Well, he's now decided that her son can stand as a candidate. The son of Keir Starmer's Chief of Staff, Sue Gray, has been selected to stand as a Labour candidate at the next general election. Liam Conlon will run to become an MP in the Beckham and Penge constituency in South East London in the election expected to take place in 2024. You couldn't make it up. You really couldn't make it up. Now, back in June, Matt Kennard wrote a brilliant piece in Declassified UK where he exposes Starmer and the Crown Prosecution Service. CPS has destroyed all records of Keir Starmer's 4 trips to Washington. The Crown Prosecution Service, England and Wales Public Prosecutor, has deleted all records of its former head of Keir Starmer's trips to the US, it can be revealed. During Starmer's time in post, the CPS was marred by irregularities surrounding the case of the WikiLeaks founder. The organisation has admitted to destroying key emails related to the Assange case, mostly covering the period when Starmer was in charge, while the CPS lawyer overseeing the case advised the Swedes in 2010 or 2011 not to visit London to interview Assange. I think people need to know how corrupt and dodgy Starmer is. Now, most people know that he's a liar and a lying politician, and he just sounds very much like the rest of them, but Starmer is unique in how dark and secretive his past is. I mean, this guy is peak establishment. He worked for the Trilateral Commission, for fuck's sake. He's a friend of corporations and not workers. So watching him talk about corruption is laughable. But we don't just have issues with Starmer himself, it's the company he keeps. Over the last few years, absolute Blairite ghoul, one of the worst people to ever be in politics, Peter Mandelson, has been kept very close to Keir Starmer. Now, Mandelson and Alistair Campbell, those lot were largely, I would say, responsible for the distrust of politicians. I mean, if you look up in the dictionary of seedy, corrupt people in power, you'd see their pictures. But Mandelson specifically, he had a relationship with a certain someone. Now, you might not know who he was. You do know him. It was Jeffrey fucking Epstein. And he's obviously very relevant today because in the coming days and weeks, we are going to see more and more people who had relationships with this man. Now, you can see a picture here with Mandelson having a whale of a time with a sex trafficker and paedophile. Now, if I wanted to clean up politics, I certainly wouldn't have people like Mandelson around me. It's insane. Now, today, Starmer made a speech where the core theme was on cronyism and the need for cleaner politics. And he was actually asked about Peter Mandelson. Let's hear Starmer's really insightful answer.
The FT did a report this summer on a JP Morgan report which suggested that Peter Mandelson had stayed at the New York townhouse of Jeffrey Epstein in 2009 when he was de facto deputy prime minister, and while the financier was imprisoned for soliciting prostitution from a minor. Do you think that Lord Mandelson, who is of course a close political ally of yours, has some questions to answer?
Jim, let me just first, on Peter Mandelson, look, and I do try to give pretty full answers in these sessions. I don't know any more than you do, and therefore there's not really much I can add to what you already know, I'm afraid. And, that's simply the state of the affairs. Thank you, Jim.
The guy just crumbles at the slightest bit of accountability. And it's just really hard to see how long he actually lasts as Prime Minister. But this is just crazy. Yes, we need to clean up politics and we need to rid those who revel in it. But that would mean someone like Keir Starmer being nowhere near politics. Starmer is a man who epitomizes deception and corruption. He is in no position to call for the cleanup of politics. His whole political campaign has been based around pretending to be somebody else. And this man is going to be our Prime Minister. He's a liar, a fraud, and you cannot trust anything he says. And if you're hoping for real, meaningful change, and you simply think that getting rid of the Tories and having Starmer as PM will do that, you'll be very disappointed.